welcome to your second viol lesson. We're going to be looking today at bowing, and first of all I want you to swing your arm, and if you can close your eyes and swing your arm, that's basically your bowing arm when you play the viol. And if you change that now by 90 degrees, see if you can still keep the same weight. So go back to it by the side of your arm and then 90 degrees, and that's the feeling. So if you look at your arm and hold it now and then wiggle it, your wrist does its own thing, doesn't it? Because it's a reflex action from the forearm and the upper arm, isn't it? And that's what we always try to maintain when we play the viol. That freedom with the arm. But feeling the arm weight is just such a good thing to do at the beginning, and you already know how to do it because you know how to walk and move your arm. You just got to move it around 90 degrees. So as I'm doing that, I'm noticing that my hand has fallen in a certain way, and that's a viol bow hold. So if I put my bow on my lap with the horsehair facing me, and this is the bit called the frog, just about that much over my leg, I can show you how to hold a bow. So again, bringing your arm up from underneath. Actually, I'm probably going to show you holding it because I think you'll be able to see it, but you can do it with this resting on your arm, resting on your lap. So I'm going to put the horsehair, this bit, on underneath the bottom knuckle, and I'm going to just bring my middle finger through the horsehair like that. I suppose it's my nails that is sort of parallel with it, and then my thumb is going to just tickle the stick, and my first finger is just going to cradle the stick. So there's two fingers, the thumb and the finger are just doing completely passive things. Now my bow hold isn't complete until my bow is resting on the viol. So we're going to do that in a minute. But I just want you to feel that. What does that feel like? And in your arm. You just move your arm, supporting the bow. And does your wrist want to move when you move your arm? Now lots of people ask me, how much do you tension the bow hair? And this I think depends from bow to bow. It depends on the density of the stick. But if you wind it up so much so that the camber on the bow is very round, and it looks like Robin Hood could ping an arrow off it, then that's overdone. But if you have it too loose, when you put your second finger through the hair, it wiggles around too much, or your middle finger, it just wiggles around. I'm just going to wind it up again. So we talked in our last lesson about being comfortable playing the viol and having good posture. And at this point, it might be a good idea to get someone to take a picture of you holding your viol when you're comfortable, just as a reference point, and then maybe for you to make a physical reference about where it comes to on you. And just do that as a check. Now that we're going to put the bow, under the strings first. And I'm doing this before we rosin it. So this just helps you get the idea of the feeling of the movement of the arm. So again, putting your bow on the viol and feeling the arm still being relaxed even though you're holding a bow. Let's just go through that bow hold again. So I'm putting my bow on the string and bringing my arm up and under. The horsehair is at the bottom of the knuckle. Then I'm going to slip my bow, I'm going to slip my second finger over the top of the hair, and my thumb is tickling the stick and my first finger is cradling it. So can you see I've got pretty much a straight line here, and I haven't put my next finger on, my third finger on the bow, and I've got a vertical palm. So a good way to feel the contact with your bow on the string is to do what I call ping bowing. And for that you take your first finger off and your thumb off, and now you can see very clearly the points of contact with here on the first finger, the second or middle finger, and on the hair. So if I were to take my bow off like this with my left hand, it should ping back on. Now, if this happens, your palm is up, it won't work. Oh, how you said that it won't work, and then it just bounced. The idea here is that this feels very insecure, and any minute I'm going to drop it because my second finger is going to come through. So I'm also turning my bow downwards so I can't see through it. So if I turn it upwards, I can see through it. If I turn it away from me, I can't see through it, like that. So now let's put the bow on the C string. That was the middle two, that was the bottom one. And put it on at this end, which is called the tip. And what I want you to do, if you look down your string, you can see, if you're on the C string, you should be able to see clearance on the G string, the one below it, and you should be able to see clearance on the one above it, E. Now I want you to hold your bow with your left hand like this, and move your arm up and down the bow. Again, still feeling like you've got, you can be aware of your arm weight while you're doing this. Now what I want you to do is to move your bow forward to the E string, check for clearance down here, and do exactly the same thing. So you're just feeling where your arm's going to go. Let's do it on the A string. Check the clearance, up and down. And now on the D string. And this is a long way from your body, isn't it? That's it. You know, can you think about anything else you do in life with your arm out here? Racket sports maybe. And actually that brings me nicely on to thinking about how the bow moves in a push and a pull. And it's so nice to think about this as a pushing motion and a pulling motion. So push is sort of tension and pull is resolution. Pull is just letting go. And if you think about this in terms of push and pull going sideways, it can really stop or help alleviate the confusion between up and down, this way around. So try not to think about up and down, think about push and pull. So let's just have a look at rosining the bow. When you rosin the bow, if you put your rosin in your left hand and move your bow starting from the tip, up and down, but then where you hold it, you don't rosin, otherwise you end up with a really sticky hand. And that's probably about enough. So one of the most important things about playing the viol and looking after your viol is having a duster. So when you finish playing, you wipe the rosin off the stick of the bow, and you wipe the rosin off the strings, and you wipe the rosin from the belly, particularly today because we've been bowing on the viol. You wipe the rosin off the belly. You basically don't want any rosin anywhere apart from on the strings when you're playing. And it's very easy to apply too much rosin and get the strings all sort of like, the bow won't contact with the string because there's just too much rosin, so it won't get through. So let's have a think about bowing then. And I want to start with the exercise in Viol Player Book 1 on page 14, which is called Viol Aerobics. And this is a really useful thing to do. It's playing 8 C's and 8 E's, and then 4 C's and 4 E's, 2 C's, 2 E's, and then 1 of each. And one of the things that we do on the viol when we play and change strings is to move the bow forward and backwards, like this. It's not up and down, it's forward and backwards. So let's just do this and see how we get on. So let's do Viol Aerobics then on page 14. Here we go, 8 C's and 8 E's, and we'll continue that sequence. Are you ready? Here we go, and 3, 4. bow going forward and back. One thing that I think really helps this is if you think about bowing underneath a table, which is quite an odd thing. So this is my table here. And it works until you get to the D string, the top string, but let's just try this for the moment, I'll show you. Because you can't go up, you have to go forward. And if I was to go up to the A string, it makes me feel like I'm going forward and backwards because I've got that there. When I go to the top string, it doesn't really work because I have to have my arm further forward to make the bow parallel with the bridge. And that's what we're always trying to do with the viol and any string instrument, is to get the bow parallel to the bridge. And by that, if you listen to this sound, and then I move my bow this way, perhaps not as clear, but much harder to control. It's that 90-degree angle that makes it work. I'm coming round like this. It might feel, when you do this actually, let's try this together, put the bow on the strings and rock it round. It might feel like, because of the camber of the bridge, this feels right. And if you can see now what's happening with my bow, it's not parallel to the bridge anymore. So in a way, the under the table thing works up onto the A string, and then you just come forward a bit more. And one of the things I think about with this is using my right leg as a runway. So if I'm going forward and back, I'm thinking about going up my leg, and then when I get to my knee, I'm just taking off a bit, and then coming back a bit, and taking off a bit. Anyway, I think all of these physical references that you have, that you learn when you're playing the viol, I think they help to bed in some physical memory, muscle memory. And that's why I talked about moving the arm when you walk. And that's a really good one to remember. So the visualisation that I mentioned yesterday with the left hand is hopefully going to really pay off now, because what I want to do is to play up and down again, on page 24, but this time without the left hand, the first time without the left hand. And what I mean is this: you play the string that the notes are on. So if I just demonstrate the first couple of bars, so we've got the C, which is on the C string, we've got D, which is on the C string, then we've got E, change strings, bring the bow forward, F sharp, also on the E string, G on the E string, F sharp on the E string, E on the E string, D, come back again. And just by separating these disciplines, doing it pizzicato, listening to the ringing sound, and doing it arco, that's playing with the bow, doing it arco and just thinking, I know you're going to think quite hard about this, that's why I said do visualisation yesterday. But if you start it now, it can really, really help and get these skills to come together ever so much more quickly than if you're trying to do them together. And because this is right, I think students tend to focus more on the left hand than they do on the right hand, and then the right hand often has to play catch up later on. So let's do up and down again without the left hand. Okay, so sitting comfortably. So one thing I like to do actually is to just put the bow on, breathe in, breathe out. As you breathe out, so you just relax a bit. Don't forget to breathe again though. Okay, here we go. So 3, 4. Finish there. So where we got to in bar 8, back. It's not down. It's back. And this the piece on the next page the singing cucumber or the cuckoo is really good for that. If we just did the singing cucumber, the beginning of it, and let me show you what I mean with my arm. I'm not going to start so much at the tip, I'm just going to start about that much away from the tip. So just watch my arm on the singing cucumber. Okay, singing cucumber. Here we go. And 3, 4. This would be a good thing to do, reading the music, memorising a couple of bars, closing your eyes. See if your bow ends up here, where it should be, or whether it comes up here because you're not concentrating on it. So give yourself little challenges like that so that you can improve on your muscle memory with the right hand, and putting that on autopilot so you can concentrate on the left hand, or putting your left hand on autopilot so you can concentrate on this one. And I think, learning to play any instrument is a bit like learning to drive a car. You learn all these skills, and with a car it's much harder because you've got to do your feet as well. But you learn these skills separately, and then you have to put them all together. So now we're happy with this, coming forward and back. Let's play up and down again with the bow and the left hand as well. Keep your finger down when you change strings, remember? Okay, here we go. Not too fast. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you finish with 2 fingers down and a bowing arm that's nice and relaxed. Brilliant. So that finishes the lesson for today, and if you can like and subscribe, that would be great. I will put a link on to this page, up and down, page 24 and page 25, with this lesson. And the book is available from Rondo Publishing, and at the moment we're doing digital books for downloads because we're staying in. Anyway, thank you very much, and see you for the next lesson.